Welcome to Chelmsford to a live Farage at Large Christmas special. Now, we've got a massive audience here with us, and I'm going to begin tonight with some reflections on the year. The year is coming towards an end, Christmas is just around the corner, and it's my last show of the year on GB News. But I've also been quite busy this year with one or two other things that I've been getting up to, including the county council elections that took place on May the 1st this year. At least that's in areas where, like Essex, where they weren't cancelled. But I have to reflect on the fact that outright Reform won 10 of those councils with overall majorities, and the biggest party in 3 of the others. So that was a big moment for me earlier in the year. I also have to say that the membership of the party that I happen to lead went through the roof, and we overtook the Conservatives on Boxing Day last year, and we've gone on this year to now have more paid-up members than any other party in the country. Another big landmark for me, for the party, something else that I've really enjoyed during 2025. But something else that's been good in 2025 is, and do you remember when GB News launched? There were 1 or 2 tech issues, to say the least, to say the very least. But we've gone on over the course of 4 years, and the channel's got better and better, and I think the viewers, the listeners on radio have become more and more loyal to this brand, because it genuinely is the home of free speech. We allow anybody and everybody to come on this channel to say their piece, to debate, and to do it in a civil, sensible and grown-up manner. Well, at least sometimes it's civil and sensible. But in July this year, GB News became, we overtook Sky, we overtook the BBC News channel, and GB News in July became the #1 news channel in this country, and we've led every single month since. And I do think Christmas, New Year is a time to perhaps reflect rather more quietly on other things that have happened in our lives. I reflected just a few weeks ago that it's exactly 40 years ago that I had an horrendous car accident, very nearly died. So maybe I should count my blessings in life a little bit more than I do, and perhaps all of us at times should just sort of count our blessings and say how lucky we are to be here. And it's Christmas, it's our great Christian festival, and time to spend with family and friends, perhaps that slightly quieter end to the year, and just reflecting on what Christmas really is.
We're living in a time of what feels like pretty significant social change, and it makes us question things that we've even taken for granted for decades. And one of those at the moment that people are wondering about is actually money. Is the money in your bank account safe? Should you be investing elsewhere? Are we looking at a potential global crash? What will it mean for your savings? Is there a way that you could be using your money that might be outside of government control even? Well, TallyMoney is potentially one solution. So I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by the CEO and founder of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. What is TallyMoney?
Well, at TallyMoney, you basically get gold you can spend. So we give people an individual account in their name, everyday account. They get a sort code, an account number. They use that account just like they would pounds from their bank, but it's milligrams of gold that we brand as Tally.
Okay. Why would you do that, though? What is the benefit to the customer instead of just having a normal pound sterling account?
Gold's performance against the pound is above 11% per annum over the last 25 years on average. But we still need money in our daily lives, and we have savings. We know that it's good common sense and prudent to save up for things, not just living credit. You know, whether it's a holiday or a rainy day, your retirement planning, you need to have money in your life, basically, that you can rely on, that's dependable, that nobody meddles with, that nobody can weaponize against you, which is another element of government control when it's the government currency, which we could talk about another time. And it should be pretty simple and straightforward, and that's what we deliver at Tally. And really, we just want people to feel safe and happy with their money. There was a time when the bigger your bank balance, the more confident you felt. Now it's like, I need to do something with it. I can't leave it there. In Tally, you can.
Okay, brilliant. Cameron Parry from TallyMoney, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bev.
Now, I'm joined today with me here by Adam Brooks, businessman, Essex man, political activist, and by Joe Phillips, a regular on this show, journalist, former press secretary to Paddy Ashdown, and of course we're here in a Liberal Democrat constituency.
It's lovely, listen to that applause. Very, very muted.
Well, it's a mixed reaction, but that's okay. That's what this channel's all about. Joe, what are your reflections on 2020?
Well, I think, you said it right, Nigel, when you say it's a time to reflect. Earlier this year, I took my grandson to Budapest, and we went to the House of Terror, which many people might have been to, and it is the most shocking but wonderfully curated history of a country that has been under occupation twice, by the Nazis and by the fascists. And that is not, centuries ago, it is within the lifetime of some people who are still alive. And it was very shocking because it was the ordinariness of people's lives that were just disrupted. And my grandson said to me, why didn't I learn about this at school? Yeah. It is absolutely shocking. So that gives you pause for thought. I think, if you look broader, I think the King has had a blinder of a year. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. His work ethic is absolutely astonishing.
Given his illness,
absolutely. I mean, he is still, as far as, or has been for most of the year, been having cancer treatment. And I think the way he has behaved with huge dignity and great grace, bringing off the successful state visit of Donald Trump, the way he's embraced, literally, President Zelensky, and the way he has had a gentle hand in things, and I think he's been very good. And of course, we won't mention the cricket, but we should mention the Lionesses. What a cracking.
They've had a very good year.
Wonderful.
I must admit, I've lost a lot of sleep the last 2 nights watching England cricket. I'm now wondering why I bothered, but never mind. Adam, your thoughts on the year?
Well, I've got 3 wonderful kids, 2 young daughters that I'm very worried about the future that they're going to inherit politically. But I just want to shout out to my son. He's 16 years of age, not an academic. We're not an academic family, but he left school, passed all his GCSEs, and now he goes to college 2 days a week to do an electrician course. But he's working as a scaffolder Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, I never thought my son, he gets up at 7, he's out the door, no moaning. And that, for me, is a positive, because you look at some of these youngsters now and you think they're never going to want to work, they don't want their own money. He's got more money in his bank account than me at the moment, But it's,
and I tell you what, if he becomes a qualified electrician, he'll have more money than all of us.
That's what we keep telling him. So I'm really proud of my son, and it's indicative that there are young 16-year-old boys out there. They don't have to go university. They can leave school, do a college course and earn some money. And he's got a lot of money now in the bank over the last few weeks. So that was that. Reflective as well with GB News. I've been on GB News for 4 years now as a panellist. I'm on twice a week, 2 prime-time shows, and there isn't a day now when that doesn't go by where I'm not stopped in the higher road or out and about with people saying, oh, thanks for saying that, that's what we think. So I take great pleasure in that. I don't want to be famous. I don't see myself as some celebrity or anything, but I get a lot of gratitude from people for saying what they think in life, and it's a credit to this channel for having a simple publican like me on. I don't speak as well as some of yous, I'm not as educated, but this channel puts people like me out there so I can speak for the people that are in this audience. No. And I thank GB News for that.
Very well said. Very well said. Very, very well said. And Joe, you talked about Budapest, you talked about the fact they had Nazism, communism for decades, lack of freedoms, people disappeared. If you disagreed with the state, you were mentally ill. How do you assess our state of democracy in Britain right now?
Well, I know we're going to talk about this in a bit more depth, but this cancelling elections is absolutely outrageous. Now, Nigel, you and I, actually, we do see eye to eye on quite a lot of things, surprisingly, but this is one where I think the Liberal Democrats reform and most people, and probably the Greens, are absolutely appalled. I don't think it's a cock-up, I think it's a conspiracy, but it is so shambolic and it is wrong. And just before we came on air, there's over 100,000 signatures now on a petition to get this debated in the House of Commons after the Christmas recess.
No. Adam, how do you see the state of the country?
I don't think I've ever been so depressed about the country ever in my lifetime. I've always voted Conservative. I was brought up to want to aspire. My dad was a publican. I always wanted to be a publican myself, earn my own money, have kids, do well and aspire to do better in life. And it seems like now we have a government that just wants to rip that away from you. The last two budgets have hurt my industry terribly, hospitality. The budgets have cost me, both together, about $35,000 a year in extra costs. That is just not supporting small business. That is decimating small businesses. And the Great British Pub, look, everyone likes a pub, and they won't be about in a few years if this government carries on going. I mean, I think 200,000 jobs have been lost in hospitality or out there since the two budgets. Something's got to be done. And with these local elections being cancelled as well, or postponed, there are some people that haven't had a democratic vote for 6 years. Nigel, that for me is the Uni Party signalling that they are petrified of you and reform. And that is not democratic, that's a dictatorship.
Well, so, I think we're all in very common agreement on this, and I think the way that this government treats democracy and free speech, frankly, they treat it with contempt. We've seen the growth of two-tier Britain in terms of the way we police things, in terms of the sentences that people get, and I'm absolutely with you. I think the country's in a very, very bad place. But you know what? The history of this country is, whenever it gets itself into a bad place, often just in the nick of time, it gets itself out. And that's exactly what we're going to do, and GB News will lead the way with the positive arguments.